The night Adaeze flew back into Lagos after 8 years in Houston, she was not thinking about her mother. She was thinking about the traffic, about whether her driver would be late, about the humidity that hit her the second the airplane doors opened, that thick, salt-heavy air she had spent years trying to forget, and then, somewhere around year 5, had started to miss. She had done well for herself. Anyone who knew her would say that without hesitation. She had gone to Houston at 24 with a nursing scholarship and a single suitcase. And she had built something real over there, a career, a reputation, a small but decent apartment in Midtown that she paid for herself. Every month without fail, she wired money home. Not a small amount. Enough for her mother to live comfortably, to eat well, to pay the compound rent, to see a doctor when she needed to. Adaeze had made sure of that. She had made sure of that through her brother Emeka. Emeka was the one who stayed. The one who said he would handle things. The one who called her every few weeks with updates. Mama is fine. Mama ate well today. Mama is asking about you. Adaeze had trusted him completely. He was her blood. He was the man of the family now that their father was gone. She had never once questioned where the money went, because Emeka told her it went to Mama. And she believed him. She had been believing him for 8 years. The drive from the airport into the city took almost 2 hours. Her driver, a quiet young man named Chukwuemeka, who went by Chooks, kept the radio low and the air conditioning high, which Adaeze appreciated. She watched Lagos slide past the window. The construction, the hawkers weaving between cars, the way everything was louder and faster and more layered than anything she had ever seen in America, even after all this time. She was not supposed to be back until Christmas. It was October. But the hospital had given her 2 weeks off, and she had looked at her calendar and thought, when did I last see her? When did I last actually sit beside my mother and hold her hand and look at her face? She could not remember, so she had booked the ticket without telling anyone. A surprise. She had imagined her mother opening the door and screaming with joy, the way she used to when Adaeze was a child coming home from boarding school. Chooks turned off the main road and into the neighborhood where Adaeze had grown up. She sat forward slightly in the back seat, pressing her palm flat against the window. Something was wrong. The compound looked different. She could not say exactly how at first. The walls were the same faded yellow she remembered. The iron gate was still slightly bent at the bottom hinge, but the generator was not running. The lights in the main flat were off, and there was a woman sitting on the front step who was not her mother. Adaeze got out of the car before it fully stopped. "Where is Mama Titi?" she said to the woman on the step. Mama Titi was what the neighbors called her mother. Mama Titi, because Adaeze's childhood nickname had been Titi, though no one had called her that in years. The woman looked up. She was one of the compound tenants, an older woman named Mrs. Oakake who had lived in the back flat for as long as Adaeze could remember. The look on Mrs. Oake's face made something cold drop through Adaeze's chest. "You don't know?" Mrs. Oakake said. "Know what?" The woman stood slowly. She pressed her hands together in front of her chest like she was deciding how to say something difficult. "Your mama has not been here for almost 4 months, my daughter." Emeka took over the flat, he and his wife. They packed her things and moved her. She paused. "I don't know exactly where, but I saw her once, about 6 weeks ago, on Awolowo Road." "On Awolowo Road doing what?" Mrs. Oakake looked at the ground. Adaeze did not wait for the answer. She got back in the car and told Chooks to drive to Awolowo Road. It was a commercial stretch. Shops, food stalls, a bus stop at the far end. She did not know what she expected to find. She did not let herself think too clearly about what Mrs. Oake's expression had meant. But she knew. Somewhere beneath the disbelief and the refusal to believe, she knew. They found her 40 minutes later. Mama Chinwe, that was her name, Chinwe, though everyone in the family called her Mama, was sitting on a low concrete ledge outside a provision store, 3 blocks from the bus stop. She had a small cloth in front of her. There was nothing dramatic about the scene, no crowd, no spectacle, just a tired old woman sitting on the side of a road with a cloth laid out in front of her, and a few coins on the cloth, and her head bowed in a way that suggested she had stopped expecting anything from the people walking past. Adaeze's door was open before Chooks could say a word. She crossed the road in something that was not quite running, but was faster than walking. and when she got close enough to see her mother's face. Thinner than she remembered, older than 8 years should have made her, with a cloth wrapped around her head that was not the kind of cloth Mama Chinwe would have chosen for herself. She stopped. Her mother looked up. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Mama Chinwe said, very quietly, "Titi," and Adaeze sat down on the concrete beside her, in her airport clothes, with her carry-on bag still strapped across her chest, and she wrapped both arms around her mother, and she did not let go for a long time. They did not talk on the ride to the hospital. Adaeze held her mother's hand in the back seat and looked out the window, and did not cry, because she needed to stay functional, and she had learned in nursing school that you could not be functional and crying at the same time. She catalogued what she could see. Her mother's hands were rougher than before. Her ankles were swollen. There was a cut above her left brow that had healed badly, the skin pulling slightly in a way that meant it had gone untended for too long. At the hospital, Adaeze showed her credentials and spoke calmly to the admitting nurse and filled out the paperwork herself, listing herself as next of kin, listing her Houston address, her phone number, her email, writing deliberately over the space where Emeka's name should have appeared. The doctor came out 2 hours later. "She is dehydrated," he said. "There is some malnutrition. Her blood pressure is elevated and she has an infection in her left foot that we are treating. She has not been under consistent medical care for some time." He paused. "She is stable. She will recover. But she needs rest and proper nutrition and follow-up care." Adaeze thanked him. She sat back down in the plastic chair outside her mother's room and placed her hands flat on her knees and breathed. Then she took out her phone and called Emeka. He answered on the second ring, sounding relaxed. He said "sister," in that easy way of his that had always made her feel like she was overreacting to things. She had been overreacting to things her whole life, according to Emeka. "Where," Adaeze said, "is Mama?" A pause. "Mama she's comfortable. She's at Auntie Ngozi's place in Surulere. I told you about this. She wanted a change of..." "I am sitting in Lagos University Teaching Hospital," Adaeze said. "I am sitting outside Mama's room. The doctor just told me she has been malnourished. She has an infected foot. She has been sitting on Awolowo Road for God knows how long." Her voice did not break. "So I am going to ask you one more time. What happened to my mother?" The silence this time was different. It was the silence of a person who has been running from something for a long time and has finally heard it catch up. "Adaeze. Every month," she said. 8 years. Every single month. Where did it go, Emeka?" He did not answer. She could hear him breathing. In the background, she could hear a television, someone laughing. "I want to see you tomorrow morning," she said. "You and Chisom." Chisom was his wife. Adaeze had met her twice. Had thought her quiet, a little cold, but had assumed that was just her personality. 9 o'clock. At the hospital. She ended the call before he could speak. She went back into her mother's room and pulled a chair close to the bed and sat there through the rest of the night. Mama Chinwe woke around 2 in the morning. She found Adaeze still there, and for a moment she looked confused, as though she was not sure if she was dreaming. "You really came," she said. "I really came." Her mother turned her head slowly on the pillow. "How long have you known?" "I only found out tonight, Mama. I came straight from the airport." Mama Chinwe closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were wet. "I didn't want to worry you. Every time I tried to call you, Emeka said he would handle it. He said if I called you myself, I would upset you and you would lose your job." She pressed her lips together. "I didn't want you to lose your job." Adaeze did not say anything for a moment. "He told you that?" "Many times. And Chisom?" Her mother was quiet. "Chisom is the one who said the compound was too big for just me, that it made more sense for them to move in and for me to stay with Ngozi." She paused. "But when I got to Ngozi's, she said she never agreed to that. She said she didn't even know I was coming." Another pause. "I didn't have anywhere else to go." Adaeze sat with that for a long time. She thought about 8 years of phone calls. 8 years of Emeka's easy voice saying everything is fine. She thought about the months she had worked night shifts to send more money. Thinking Mama needed a better mattress. Thinking Mama's medication bill had gone up. Thinking she just wanted to make sure. She thought about every single transfer she had made and the way she had felt each time. Responsible, present, like a good daughter even from far away. And she thought about her mother sitting on that concrete ledge with her head bowed, 3 blocks from a bus stop, while Emeka sat in her family's compound watching television. Emeka arrived at the hospital the next morning at 9:15. Chisom was with him, dressed very well, which Adaeze noted without comment. They sat across from her in the small family consultation room, and Emeka started talking almost immediately. Explanations, context, things had gotten complicated, the business deal that went wrong. They had always intended to fix it. They just needed more time. "How much is left?" Adaeze said. "What?" "Of what I sent. How much is in the account?" Another silence. "Emeka, there were expenses. I sent 430,000 naira every month for 8 years, Adaeze said, not loudly. She was not going to be loud. "That is a number I know exactly, because I calculated it on the plane last night. I want to know how much is left." Chisom looked at the wall. Emeka looked at the table. Nothing, that was the answer. The answer was nothing. The business, the lifestyle, the things Chisom had wanted. It had all been funded by the money Adaeze sent home for her mother. When the money ran out, they had simply stopped dealing with Mama Chinwe rather than explain. They had moved her out of the compound and hoped she would become someone else's problem, and they had continued sending Adaeze the same easy updates, hoping she would never come back unannounced. She had come back unannounced. "I want you out of the compound by Friday," Adaeze said. "I spoke to a lawyer this morning. The property is in Mama's name. It has always been in Mama's name. If you are not out by Friday, we will begin the formal process. The lawyer has all the bank records. I requested them last night." Chisom started to speak. Adaeze looked at her. Chisom stopped. "You don't have to do this. We are family." "You are right," Adaeze said. "We are family. That is exactly why you should have taken care of her." She stood up. She had a prescription to fill. She had a nutritionist to call. She had a physical therapist to arrange for her mother's foot. She had 8 years of absence to begin, slowly and carefully, to repair. She did not look back when she left the room. The weeks that followed were not simple. Healing never is. Mama Chinwe had good days when she sat up and ate properly and talked about the neighbors she had missed. She had harder days when the weight of everything seemed to press her back down into the pillow, and she would grow quiet in a way that scared Adaeze more than the medical reports did. Adaeze extended her leave. Her hospital in Houston understood. "Family emergency," she said, which was true enough. She converted the second bedroom of the compound into a proper recovery space. She repainted it herself on a Saturday morning with 2 cans of yellow paint she found at the market, because yellow was her mother's favorite color and had been since before Adaeze was born. She hired a caregiver named Miss Abby, who came 6 days a week and had the kind of competent, warm manner that made Mama Chinwe relax instead of resist. She set up a video call schedule so the neighbors could check in. She bought a new mattress, the good kind, and she did not feel guilty about the money it cost. She also called Emeka twice more, both times calmly, both times about practical matters, the property transfer, the remaining documentation. He came when he was asked to. He signed what he was asked to sign. He did not make eye contact, and Adaeze did not require him to. She did not know what the future of that relationship looked like. She was not ready to make decisions about it. There was a version of herself that was furious, that woke at 2 in the morning with her jaw clenched, thinking about her mother on that concrete ledge. And there was another version that understood, in the way that nurses understand things, that fury was not a plan, that the work was the plan. The work was getting her mother well. The work was staying. Because that was the thing Adaeze had not understood until she was sitting in a plastic hospital chair at 3 in the morning watching her mother sleep, that she had believed, for 8 years, that sending money meant she was there, that the wire transfer was a form of presence, that love could be expressed entirely in numbers and bank receipts. She had not been wrong to send the money, she would send it again. But she understood now, in a way she could not have understood from Houston, that money without presence was a door left unlocked and unguarded, that someone, not always, not everyone, but someone, would eventually walk through it. On a Thursday afternoon in her 4th week home, Adaeze was sitting on the compound steps peeling oranges when her mother came and sat down beside her. This was a milestone. The doctor had said gentle movement, short distances. Mama Chinwe had made it from the bedroom to the front step without help. She sat down slowly, the way a person sits when they have learned to be careful with their own body, and she looked out at the street for a while without speaking. Then she said, "Are you going back?" Adaeze kept peeling. The orange peel came off in a single long spiral. "I have to go back eventually. My job is there. But not now. Not now." Her mother nodded. She reached over and took a slice of orange from the bowl between them. "When you were small," she said, "and you would come home from school for the holidays, the first thing you always did was come and find me in the kitchen. You didn't put your bag down first. You didn't go to your room. You came to find me." Adaeze looked at her. "I used to think about that," Mama Chinwe said. "All those years you were gone. I used to think, she doesn't come find me in the kitchen anymore. But I told myself you were busy, that you were building your life." She looked down at the orange slice in her hand. "I just didn't think it would be this long." Adaeze set down the knife. She put her arm around her mother's shoulders carefully, the way you hold something that has been broken and is still in the process of mending. "I'm here now," she said. Mama Chinwe leaned against her. "I know," she said. "I know you are." The street was loud the way Lagos streets are always loud. Generators, voices, a hawker calling out 2 blocks away, a motorcycle horn. Someone's radio playing high-life music that drifted over the compound wall like a memory. Adaeze sat with her mother in the middle of all that noise and did not move. She had a flight booked for December. She had also called a property management company about the compound. She had also researched home healthcare agencies and compared their rates and made appointments with 3 different ones. She had already told her director in Houston that she was requesting a schedule change. Fewer overnight shifts, more flexibility, the kind of arrangement that would make it possible to come home more than once every several years. She did not know if it would be enough. She did not know if anything was ever fully enough when it came to the years that were already gone. But she was here now. She was peeling oranges on the front step in the October heat, with her mother's head resting against her shoulder. And for the first time in a long time, she was not thinking about the traffic or the humidity, or the distance between here and Houston. She was just thinking about staying a little longer,